I am completing this video for a requirement for EDU 585 at Georgetown College. This goes towards my endorsement and ESL certification. Excuse me. I interviewed a teacher over at Tates Creek High School. Her name was Miss Smith, and she was in over her head with the amount of students that she and her partner, her colleague, her other ESL teacher over there were dealt with. They have 130 ESL students, and over half of them are refugee students. So this is a lot of newcomers, a lot of students that are dealing with a lot of issues other than being behind academically. Just came to the States within the past 4 or 5 months. So she and her colleague decided to come up with a newcomer class that has at least 33 students in it, give or take a few at a time, depending on what's needed. And she explained to me that this is helpful to have. However, she has a bunch of other students on her caseload that never even get to see her or the other ESL teacher because they're with the mainstream classroom, and she does not have enough time to go around and make sure that all of them are getting the accommodations necessary and needed. So she is splitting her time between the newcomer class and the remainder students that need her. This leaves a lot of confusion for the students because they don't know where to go when they need help. And they also aren't getting the full help that they need from the mainstream teacher because that teacher is also not certified to do just ESL work. The Miss Smith does collaborate with the mainstream teachers. However, there's only so much, once again, that just she and her colleague can do for the amount of teachers that her students are seeing. So when talking with her about different recommendations that she could use, she was using a lot already. She was setting up sentence frames for the students before the classes started, depending on if she knew the subject that the teacher was teaching. She would kind of, already she showed me a worksheet that she had that already had the bulk of it filled out, and then the student would fill in different spaces, and she also associated pictures with it. She also gave the different students flashcards that they could work on throughout the class if the teacher was in small groups or anything like that. Or working on writing that the Miss Smith couldn't get to them and help them with at that moment. So she provided the teachers with different resources, hands-on activities that would help with the language acquisition part of what's necessary for those students, but there was a lot of personal one-on-one work that she is unable to get to. So a lot of this stuff is out of her hands, and it's out of the school's financial means as well. They have recently gotten their free and reduced lunch cut back. They can't pull as much from that anymore, which is what a lot of these refugee kids, all of them, are on anymore. They require and rely on that free and reduced lunch for their meals. They've cut that back. They have cut back funding for Tates Creek Baccalaureate program, which is just an accelerated program to hold them at higher stakes to get into college. And they want the ELL kids, some of them, in that program so that the school can be reflective of that culture that they're representing. However, they can't necessarily seem to maintain that at the same degree that they were because they don't have the funding for it. So she's running into a lot of issues there. So she is trying right now to find a way to financially support these students so that they can learn without having the stressors of money and whether or not they are going to be okay eating for their lunchtime meal or their breakfast meal by the time they get home. One recommendation that I did have that I didn't know about is if they had any sort of high school form, more mature form of RAS Kids or Imagine Learning or any of the EL computer programs that the elementary aged kids get. I didn't know if there's anything for high school aged kids because that would be something extremely independent and productive that the kids could work on if there's anything that the mainstream teacher is wanting to progress with them, but is unable to kind of make that connection with them since there's that language barrier. I didn't know if there was that. Or Lexia. Lexia seems to be huge within the elementary kids and a great way to allow them some technology time and computer time and have it counted towards academic enhancement. Also, I know that Raz Kids has an English-Spanish books. There are some bilingual books in there, as well as pictures with labeling in both English and Spanish, so that would be big with the high school students that are Hispanic, Spanish speaking. They'd be able to make some connections there without having to be insecure about asking. I know at the high school level there's a lot of emotional problems that don't really weigh in on the elementary level of it yet. So giving them something that they're able to do in their own language and connect it with their current language that they're trying to speak may alleviate some stress for them, that they wouldn't have to ask anybody what something means or just shut down because they don't know how to do it. Something that is also, she did say that she was doing, but I don't know if it can be done on a broad spectrum because she doesn't have the help, would be to share the WIDA standards and the can-do descriptors with the mainstream teachers. The mainstream teachers they have a lot on their caseload as well, and so they're doing all that they can do to help everybody in their classroom. However, they may not be aware of the help that WIDA may be to them, showing them the can-do descriptors and what their student could be able or should be able to do by the end of a month or 2 months or whatever it is that their particular topic that they're focusing on is done with. It would give the teacher a good jumping off point to know an objective, a clear goal for that student, instead of feeling confused or maybe that they need to know such a vast amount. It gives them the ability to kind of hone into one specific task at the moment for the week or for the 2 weeks or whatever they need. And then also sharing with the teachers the composite scores of their Access or their WAPT test, showing them where they stand, what they do know, and what they are still needing to know in order to get out of ELL and be able to be reclassified into the mainstream and just get the confidence under them to get going. Sharing those scores, I think, will allow the teacher more of an insight into their student rather than maybe feeling blinded by it and skipping over that student, which unfortunately does happen a lot because they don't know how to help them. So those are a couple of the suggestions that I have, as well as we talked about when I was there, other than the Raz kids and the technology for the older students. I think the main thing for high school kids is to get the confidence going for them, or else it's going to end up being a situation that Ms. Smith talked about where the majority of students are falling so far behind that they end up just dropping out. Or they're there for a year, they're expected to do the state testing, they get a novice or apprentice, and they bring down the school's score. And then there's this stigma that goes along with the negativity or the negative impact of ELL students, even though there's not a negative impact. There's only positive impacts, but there's no support financially or there's no tangible support for these teachers to help with the plethora of students that they've got. So thank you for listening to my video. These are the recommendations for my ELL students at Tates Creek and the teachers that are there for them and the situation that they're in over there.